Welcome to another episode of Ripple Moments. I'm Muriel Baptiste, one of your hosts and the Executive Director of the Utopia Connect Foundation. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. Ripple Moments are conversations to help us make sense of where we are today and how we respond to it. It can even serve as a coping mechanism to help us make sense, but also connect us and show us that we are more connected than we think we are. These conversations are free to the public, but if you can, we encourage you to support our work by donating. You can visit ripplemoments.org to make a donation to support or sponsor these conversations. And right now, I'd love to share Sterling and Clarabelle with you, our host as well.
Hello. Hi, Muriel.
Yeah.
Hi, yes. Welcome, everybody. Bienvenidos. We're excited that you're here tonight for this conversation. And Clarabelle, can you tell us a little bit about the guests that we bring on to Ripple Moments?
Absolutely. So who are our guests? Our guests are people we think you should learn from. Those who struggled, those who made notable contributions to our communities, especially during this pandemic, or simply those who lead in various industries. During these conversations, we want to honor our artists, students, and educators, because we each have something to bring that can make our humanity better, and we are creating a platform to let that inspiration flourish in a time when we need it most. Through these conversations, our goal is to elicit hope, healing, awareness, and a greater sense of purpose as we listen to real people in our communities making a difference. Back to you, Muriel.
Thank you, Clarabelle. Tonight's special for us, and I'd love you. Join me as we welcome today's guest, Pinky Ring, a Puerto Rican rapper, author, speaker, and educator born and bred right here in Chicago. She proudly serves as hip-hop cultural ambassador for the United States, traveling overseas with the U.S. Embassy to facilitate hip-hop diplomacy programming. Pinky is a 3-time recipient of the City of Chicago's Individual Artist Program grant and the awardee of 2018 Illinois Arts Council grant. In 2019, she won one of 20 women selected by Vital Voices and Tresemme for their inaugural Women's Leadership Incubator in New York. As a professional speaker, Pinky hosts workshops and talks with youth and universities worldwide. Pinky is a proud Latina artist on the rise with the determination to share her story while encouraging others to find their truth, live in it unapologetically, and tell it authentically. Help us welcome Pinky Ring.
Thank you so much for that beautiful intro. I appreciate you, and I'm so happy to be a part of Ripple Moments today. Hi, friends.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm so happy to have you. You're beautiful. We love your hair. We all do. And we're so happy to have you with us tonight.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and before we get started, in the tradition of Ripple Moments, we are going to put you up to the challenge. Would you accept doing a 12-question quiz with us? It's a COVID challenge quiz. Would you accept the challenge?
I accept the challenge.
Awesome. So it's 12 questions, one for each month that we've experienced this pandemic. And you have up to 1 minute to answer all 12 questions. Yeah, I've heard you rapping, girl. I'm pretty sure we can do this in
Nervous.
We got this.
All right, ready?
Yep.
All right, cool. Did you bake bread?
No.
Did you work from home?
100%.
Did you dye your own pink hair?
1,000%.
Did you cut your own hair?
No.
Okay. Did you ever have a meeting in your PJs?
I'm in a meeting in my PJs right now.
Did you hoard toilet paper?
Did I hoard? I didn't. I am not a hoarder. And shame on you all who did do that.
Did you fall asleep during a virtual meeting? Be honest now.
Yes, actually. And I also took a bubble bath during a virtual meeting once.
That's what I'm talking about. That kind of virtual. What's your eating out of whack?
1,000,000%.
Did you support your favorite restaurant?
Yes, I did. Many of them.
Okay. Did your mask make you self-conscious of your breath?
No, I eat gum religiously, and everyone will tell you this about me.
Okay. Did you get more or less sleep than you did
I got less sleep.
in 2019? Join the
100%.
club. And then, are you forever changed?
Yes, absolutely. In a good way.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. So, thank
That
you.
wasn't that bad. I thought it was going to be much more.
Well,
I really thought we were going to ask questions about like political history or like geography. I was really worried. I look smart, but I only play smart in movies. I was like, I'm so scared.
No. I happen to know you're smart. I saw your video about you going to Lane and being a writer, and I see you spitting out more words than a lot of people that I know, and they all make sense. So, so thank you for having a little fun with us. That's just to warm you up a little bit, even though you really don't need warming up. So,
Thank you.
yeah. So I know, Pinky, that you are a rapper, a speaker, an educator. You're an author. You're an ambassador. You're awesome. But we want our viewers, our listeners, to know, who is Pinky Ring? Tell us.
Pinky Ring is a rapper first. And that was really difficult for me to say for such a long time because I always felt like that wasn't enough. If I would tell people I'm a musician, they would say, oh, what else you do? And so that was very deeply ingrained. Mm-hmm. And also with family I grew up very in a Pentecostal, very religious household. They were not accepting of it. So it makes me think of like how many ways these messages are ingrained by society. And that was projecting outwardly for me because I wouldn't say that I was a rapper first. I would say musician, or I would say performer, or I would say educator, or all of these other things that sound like better on paper. But what I realized was that all of these other titles and accolades that I have come from me being a rapper. When I'm teaching hip hop. When I'm speaking about my experience as a woman in the music industry. So I lead with that first. I'm a rapper. I'm an MC. I come from a hip hop era. And this week I'm actually teaching a social justice and hip hop course for After School Matters. And it's been so amazing to see how I've embodied that, but also how young people are now embodying the fact that they are rappers and change makers within their music. So that's what I would say I am first. And then after that, Boricua, and then woman, and then an empath, like a really, really strong empath. I really, really care about people. And I think that a lot of us can learn from that and can be that as well.
That's awesome. And you're from Chicago, right?
100%.
Oh my goodness. We are feeling incredibly proud. So that's awesome. You know, your name is Pinky Ring. Tell us, how did you get that name?
It's actually a funny story. And I was just sharing this with my students. I was very much a tomboy and hated the color pink growing up. So I liked wrestling. I played Little League Baseball. I was hanging out with all the boys. And so the first time I wore pink was in high school. As you mentioned, I went to Lane Tech, was in high school my sophomore year. So my freshman year, I was very much like a nerd. And shout out to the nerds because they are actually really cool and cooler than the cool kids, to be very honest. Mm-hmm. But I was very much like a nerd. And then sophomore year was when I started blossoming. That's when I started rapping. So started really stepping into like who I am and how I'm going to share my narrative. And so I started wearing pink. I wore a pair of pink pants. I went to the Mega Mall, and people probably don't even remember what the Mega Mall is. I went to the Mega Mall, got them airbrushed with G-Unit because I loved this rapper 50 Cent at the time. And as I started wearing these pink pants, like everyone started calling me Pinky, and I hated it. I hated it. I was like, I don't want that name. It's so girly. And what's funny is that it just stuck with me. Anyone who would meet me for the first time would call me Pinky. And so I met a manager at 17. My original rap name was actually Lady Drastic, which is a terrible rap name. It's so hip hop, you know. You had to have a lady something, and it was spelled Draztik because rappers just have to spell things different.
Right, Pinky,
Pinqy. And I always say the Q is for Queen and Pinky, so that was meaningful. But yeah, so I met this manager, and he was like, "We are not doing Lady Drastic. That's not marketable at all. You're going to be Pinky. Figure it out." And at that point, I was on my way to college. I then studied abroad in Italy. So like the Italian culture, the Kiss the Pinky Ring was really cool to me. And then in hip hop culture, a lot of rappers talk about their pinky ring like religiously. Like almost every rapper has a line about their pinky ring, and it's so small but it's so powerful, and like everyone wants to show it off. And as a resident 5-footer, that was me. You know, everyone wanted to show me off in ciphers or in rap battles, and they were like, yeah, that's cool, but you need to listen to her. So it to me is not anything materialistic. Some people think that it is materialistic, but that's not the case. I just got my first pinky ring like 2 years ago, and it's actually a rose quartz crystal that I got made. That's more meaningful to me. So it was never anything about like money or fanciness, but more like, how do you shine? How do you share that shine? And how do other people want to celebrate you and show you off? So that's where Pinky Ring came from.
Beautiful story. I love it. I love it.
A lot of the entertainment industry really took a hit during the pandemic, and you're definitely in it, in the industry anyhow. How was your career really affected by the pandemic?
I have to say that I'm incredibly blessed and very fortunate, but also was hit incredibly hard during the pandemic. As you all mentioned, I'm a U.S. Hip Hop Cultural Ambassador. All travel got canceled. So January of 2020, I was able to go to Nepal for a planning visit for a trip that we were subsequently going to do to Nepal with other artists that ended up getting canceled and pushed back. This year, my country that was given to me was Sri Lanka. They have already emailed us that that's being pushed to 2022. So that's like, for me, traveling more than the money is the experience. It's what I learn about myself when I'm overseas and in other cultures and immersing myself in that. So it has been really hard for me. And especially as an extrovert, just being home, not being able to travel as much as I had liked. All speaking engagements got canceled or were transferred virtually. So that was really difficult for me. A concert virtual is so different than it is in person. You finish your song and then you're like, and my next number. It's tragic. And all of those things obviously impacted my finances as well. I'm super grateful for all of the resources that were made available to artists. I was able to get a 3 arts grant. The Grammys has something called Music Cares. They gave me a grant as well. And right before the pandemic, I had just moved into a 2-bedroom apartment so that my 2nd bedroom could be my recording studio and office. So you can imagine how terrified I was when we get into a pandemic and I'm like, how am I going to figure this out? But I will say that as the encouraging sort of up note on that is that I made all of my music and I made all of my money in 2020 from my music and my music related things. And that had never been the case before. So as well as taking all of those hits as a musician, as an entertainer, as a performer, I'm really blessed that I was able to make music my full-time job. But also to spend that time to sort of look within and take moments to slow down. I was not slowing down. I was go, 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 go. Anyone could tell you, hopping on a plane here, there, working on a million projects. It really gave me the time to just sit and be with myself, learn myself, and build out my studio. So this is my studio that I'm actually here live from. And really excited to be releasing an album this year because of that. If I hadn't slowed down, that wouldn't be the case and that wouldn't have happened. So, it did impact me negatively, but I'm super grateful and humbled and thankful for the positive ways that it impacted me as well.
That's really inspiring. That's so great. I'm so glad that you found a way to still make something positive come out of all this, troubling times and such. Can you talk about a little bit about like one way you pivoted that allowed you to become like a full-time artist in that way?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the technology, right? Shout out to technology. It has connected us in a way that maybe we weren't as connected before. I mean, this is an example, right? Like it allowed us to connect in a way that we wouldn't have been able to before, and allowed me personally to expand my outreach. So in my youth program that I'm doing this spring break with hip hop and social justice, I was able to have an MC named M1 from this famous rap group, Dead Prez, come and visit my students and talk to them. Pre-pandemic, that wouldn't have ever been a thing. And so it has really joined us together, it has really given us an opportunity to appreciate what and who we have as well. And then, you know, the other way that I pivoted again is my home recording studio. You know, a lot of people got a lot of germs out there. And then you talk about a recording studio and people are spitting into a microphone. Like, I would have for sure gotten COVID if I would have been recording in the studio. So I'm really grateful, you know, to be able to do that here and just share germs with myself. And that's it. But I think also, like the mental health aspect, like I was able to see my therapist virtually still. If it wasn't for that, I promise you, I don't think I would have made it. So that's another way that technology played a role in us still being able to keep our sanity and feel connected and feel in community, even if we are by ourselves, because we are keeping ourselves safe.
Yeah. Speaking about technology, I know I saw an interview where early on you were there was a battle, like a battle, a rapping battle, and you mentioned that you know you were rapping in school, but you weren't really going public with it yet, and so you listened to their rapping and you battled it at home, and nobody knew, and your name was like a guy's name, and then finally you came out into the light, and here you are, you're a whole woman, you're a whole young lady, right? And oh my God, I thought that was super cool. And then I also heard that you had thought about not rapping, like you had thought about quitting, you know, you had thought about maybe quitting rapping. And, you know, and now I'm hearing in 2020, you made money from rapping, like, you know, a year where most people probably, it was their demise, right? If they were, you know, in the music industry, and here you are making money for the first time. So tell us, how does, do you think you'll ever quit rapping now? Like, I feel like if you could make it in 2020, you could make it any other time.
I'm so glad and so grateful to you for saying that and for pouring into me that way, because I promise you that I try to quit often, like 11 times I'm quitting rap. And, you know, I think it's just, you know, it's because of the difficulty and because of like, simply for my gender, or simply for being a woman in hip hop, it has made it difficult for me. And that's so unfair. But when I think about, like, when I hear things like, it's, even I don't put it into perspective until I hear it from someone else's mouth. So you telling me like 2020 was not people's best year in music, and then you're out here thriving and doing well. I'm like, I guess I am thriving and doing well. So, and I think that for me, it's because I've really understood and like embraced my bigger picture and my why. So the reason why I do this is not for myself, not to be rich and famous. I hope that that comes at some point, because I've been doing this for a very long time, but it's more so to champion that little girl that's just like Pinky when she was in high school and didn't have the opportunity, or feels like quitting, or doesn't really understand her voice, or is dealing with, you know, misogyny and sexism in the music industry. Like, that's why I do it, to lead as an example for her. And so, yeah, it's really wild that the industry still hasn't changed much. I was just on a Clubhouse, which is an app where you do like sort of conferences, voice only. And this woman asked a question, and she said that she uses a man's name when she's emailing for opportunities. She's a producer and an engineer in the music industry. And other people were like, yeah, I've done that too. Yeah, I've done that too. And I'm like, wow, I did that in the 2000s. We're still doing that. Like, it makes me feel really sad and discouraged. But at the same time, I realize and remember, especially by hearing you pour into me, I remember that, like, what's your reason that you're doing what you're doing? If you hold firm onto that, then even if you try to quit, it's going to pull you right back. I read this quote the other day that said, if it's your calling, it's going to keep calling. And I was like, ooh, you got to answer, you know, and if not, it's going to keep calling you. It's going to keep, I'll tell you this, every time I've made the decision, like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, something happens. Someone calls me from the Sun-Times and we want to interview. Oh, this grant you applied for, you got, or a student of mine will send me a video about how much they appreciate me. And it just reminds me, like, again, if it's your calling, it's going to keep calling. And it's up to you to answer it. This time is really difficult, but if we push through and we continue, then you remember why you're doing it and that it's so much bigger than you. It's your gift that you were given from God, and you have to follow it.
That is music to my ears. I love to hear that. Manifestation.
Yeah.
Blessings. Love it.
Got it. Thank you for sharing all of that, Pinky. All of that is so beautiful, and and I'm happy that you know your purpose. That's the most beautiful thing about what you just said. So it's let's think. I know we all want to live forever, but it's 2080. What are people saying about Pinky?
Oh, wow. 2080. Pinky is, I don't even know. I don't do math very well either. We talked about the quiz earlier, geography, math. Those are that's not my ministry. The Lord didn't give me that blessing, but that's okay. 2080, Pinky is a revolutionary. She's unapologetic. She's rich and famous with several husbands that all love her equally.
At the same time?
At the same time, yes.
2080.
2080. Listen, it might be a different world then. She persevered, didn't give up, and now she is leading a group of young women rappers in the music industry and managing them, and has her own record label to mitigate all of the downfalls that she went through for these young women. And she's an inspiration to others.
You got to get you married really quickly.
Multiple husbands. Let's make sure we add that multiple.
We have some work to do. Okay.
If you're out there,
we're going to be taking audition sessions soon.
yes. Ripple Moments is going to turn into a dating show.
Exactly. Forget all those other ones. This is the real one.
That's it. Listen, I wouldn't want to be matched by anyone other than you three.
And contestant number 3. What would you?
Right. You already got the pink and the red going for Cupid, so you're good.
It's Valentine's Day all day.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you that Clarabelle has a burning question for you right now.
I do. You know, so I do enjoy rap music. I enjoy it very much, and I enjoy it for a variety of reasons. It's probably not the most popular thing to ask you right now, but I kind of think it is. And actually, I'll start with this. Are all of your songs clean? They're all everyone, right?
Not all of them. I have, and I tell this to my students all the time, I curse purposefully. You know, if we're talking about social justice issues and, you know, sometimes you just got to say the F word, or sometimes, you know, that's that frustration. What I don't do is curse for no reason or just for the sake of cursing. So it's not all clean. I'm definitely not a Christian rapper in the least.
Okay.
But you know, like, for example, during the pandemic, I was doing live stream shows for colleges that required it to be clean. And then I'm like, that's easy to do because most of my songs are already clean. So that's really important to me. But also important to me that people do what they feel is necessary for themselves, because, you know, cursing can be therapeutic and can be a mantra sometimes as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I didn't happen to come across any of your songs that, you know, dropped an F-bomb or really talked about female anatomy too much, but I know that in rap, I mean, it's plagued, right, with profanity and shock factors, and the lower you can go, the more you can shock someone, you know, the faster your message may get out at times, right? But I noticed that a lot of your songs were not about that. They're about empowerment, female empowerment. Some might argue that the 2020s, you know, rap song, a Billboard #1 song was WAP. What do you think about WAP? Tell us what your thoughts are about, because I feel like you are heart and soul with where you're coming from, what you're saying, lifting people up, telling your story, telling your truth. How do you feel about the WAP song?
I love that song. And I'm sure you didn't expect that response from me either. And I love that. And I love that because I think that the thing is that lots of music genres are plagued with profanity and plagued with misogyny against women. Like, let's look at rock music. Like, we look at old, like I was listening to this old song by this woman and it was like very profane. And I was like, yes, because the thing is that we try to put people into a box, not realizing that two things can be true at the same time. I can be intelligent and also be very ratchet. And I love that about myself. And I think that we tend to negate the experience of certain groups of people when we say you have to be this way in order to be righteous. That song to me was not necessarily, I did an interview with this like famous YouTube channel and it got millions of views about this particular subject. And, some people were saying like it's the feminist anthem. I definitely don't agree with that. There are a lot more songs that could be a feminist anthem than WAP. But what we tend to do is like diminish women's sexuality, but yet we uplift and we praise when men do it, right? So when women are celebrating themselves or are loving themselves or are open enough to say, I love me, I love my body, I love who I am, we say, nope, quiet. Nope, don't say that. But then if the next male rapper or rock star singer is talking about a woman's body, then it's like, yes. And so I think what we need to do is to understand that lots of things can be true at the same time. And we can be multiple things. Sometimes for me, people think that because I'm educated and I went to college that, I have to be a certain way, but that denies my true nature and who I really am. On some of my next projects, I'm going to be a little bit more of a risk taker with what I say, because I think that that's revolutionary too, right? What's not accepted right now? How do we reframe that so that people understand? But it's about having the conversations behind it. So when women start taking the reins of their bodies, of their own careers, like it makes misogyny unhappy. It makes patriarchy unhappy. And I'm here for all of that because the women are the past, present, and future. And we need to be able to share our true stories. And we need to be able to celebrate ourselves in a way that feels authentic to us. And actually, Cardi B had an interview about WAP. And she said, when she released certain songs, there's a song called Be Careful, which is about her like love and relationship. It didn't do as well. But as soon as WAP came out, like that's what everyone wants to see. The thing is that we need to reprogram people's minds, because when you think of who's holding the reins of the music industry, they want to see our destruction, but not the way that we can uplift ourselves. So I would like to see more of a balance. Yes, there's a lot of WAP, there's a lot of sexuality. So how do we balance that out with another narrative so that everyone can feel seen and accepted? Like the sexual woman who's like proud of her sexuality is seen and accepted. The intellect, the, social justice freedom fighter. I want to see an industry, especially for women, where all of those things can be true at the same time and they can all wear the crown. It's this idea that only one woman can wear the crown at a time. That's not true. There are so many male rappers, so many male artists in the music industry. I think that it's the year for women to come up. And we can't dictate what they say or how they say it, because if it's their true story, we need to accept that and allow that, but then balance it with other things, some social justice issues, some true stories, and equally promote that financially in the music industry, which is a corporation and it's a capitalist system that's a whole nother conversation. But I love WAP. I love that song. And but I love Rhapsody as well, who's a really dope woman MC who talks about social political issues and doesn't show her body at all. Whatever is comfortable for you, we need to accept that and not nitpick it.
9 o'clock.
Uplift it.
That's my Mac computer. It's really rude.
Excuse me. He's like, it's like, when you're at the award show and they play like the little violin, like, Pinky got into her feminism bag. We can't stop her now.
And scene.
Female voice, that's what we're talking about.
It's 9 o'clock. I'm like, wow. What did I even do? See, that's what it was. He was mad.
Right. It was not intentional at all. So I love your position with that. I love it because you're embracing the genre, you're embracing the movement behind it and looking at it from a very open-minded place. Things are changing, right? And there's a little bit more elevation, right, for women We have new genders arising. It's a whole new world, and I think that there's room for a lot more, right? To continue changing and to help us all be on a more harmonious platform. So yeah, awesome. Thank you. Exclamation mark on your answer.
And kind of in that vein, like, you know, you're talking a bit about kind of embracing all of this. Are there other things that happen in the music industry during this time that you feel like is a positive development that you'd like to see more of?
Yeah, I do, you know, just sort of going off of that last response, I do see some changes happening for women in the music industry. It's not enough though, you know, sometimes it feels like too little too late. I do see women uplifting women in the music industry, women embracing women. You know, this sort of idea that like women are catty and like bring each other down. Like I can text 20 women right now that would show up immediately if I needed them that are also in the music industry. So I think that, you know, again, what COVID did was allowed us to be introspective so that the face that we're giving the world is one that is really authentic. And it also allowed people to show up for us and to be there for us in a way that maybe they weren't able to at another point before. I also think that the ability and capability to create your own music, record wherever you are, work virtually with people has been really beneficial in that you don't really need to go to a studio to record. You can send your track to someone, they can mix it, they can do a feature. I think that has been true for a little while, but COVID allowed people to, from the comfort of their own homes, create, and that can lead to like a more authentic creation and obviously a safe creation because you're not, you know, the germs we talked about earlier that are just everywhere.
Right.
So yeah, and I think most importantly, I think in the music industry, I really do believe that, you know, women are up next. There are more options. There's a plethora of women who are sharing different kinds of story about sexual liberation or about liberation of us as a people. And I think that that's really beautiful. And I hope that it continues because we really need to uplift women's voices and female identified voices in the music industry so that other people can hear that and understand that their story is valid too. And representation really, really actually matters.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, and it's such an interesting dynamic too, that like music is meant to be shared and we have like, you know, and each artist should have a you know, their community really, like, you know, we say audience, but I mean, really you're trying to connect on it like on a deeper level if you're really going to be successful with this and do something meaningful for the people who want to listen to it. How have you connected with your community over the pandemic here?
So one of the things there were a few things that I did start a blog that was talking about like dating during COVID. This is a recurring theme, y'all. My man is coming this year. I know he is. Listen, from my lips to God's ears. Hello, hear me up there. So it was like a blog on like, you know, dating during COVID, and because it was dangerous, right, to date. Like you meet up with someone like you're risking yourself. So another thing that I do now is on Sundays, I do something called Self-Care Sundays, where I share a video of different self-care tips that I do. And eventually we'll be bringing guests onto that, like spiritual practitioners and mental health workers to talk about what they do during the pandemic. I think that I've always been one that has always remained connected to my community, even if I wasn't really feeling music at the time. There were always ways that either I share messages on my social media or share my like true and authentic story so that people can see and understand. Like, I think they have this picture of me and who I am and what that should look like to them. So when I come through with the honest, like, hey, y'all, like the beginning of this year, I started with a overdrafted bank account. For them, it's like, oh, she's real, just like us. And like, how do we show up for her who shows up for people so often, but also how do I become more authentically vulnerable so that this idea that everyone's perfect and everyone's great, especially on social media, you paint this picture that everything looks amazing. that's the beginning of this year. I started with an article in the Sun-Times, but I had also literally overdrafted my bank account because there was so much going on. And for me, it's really important to, when Muriel read my bio, like people telling their story authentically is really important. That's what I preach to my students. So when they write raps and they're like, I'm in this $1 million car, I'm like, give me a ride then. Like, I need to I got all this money. And I'm like, let me hold some, because your teacher literally just overdrafted her bank account. So can you help me real quick? I just think it humanizes people, and especially artists, because we put them on this pedestal that they're supposed to have it all figured out. I don't know any artist that does, but we think that because that's what we see on social media. So the way that I've connected with my community authentically is by just truly sharing my story, sharing my resources, and then sharing my joy when it does come, so that they can see, like, if I can do this, you can do this too. That's my ultimate goal, is for them to know that and to internalize that as well.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, that's fantastic. And I mean, I can tell, yeah, you can really connect with people on a deep level. That's impressive.
All kinds of people too. People are like, Pinky, you just have so many different friends. I'm like, yes, like my mentors are so diverse, but like that's something that I really want to impress upon my students too, is like, when you're a good person, you're just a good person, and people will see that and feel that, and they will want to help you and want to be around you. You want to create a certain energy for yourself that then attracts like-minded and energetic people. And again, that's something that COVID really helped me do. I think I've always been this way, but COVID really helped me heal myself. We were talking today with my students about hurt people. And then we ended up with healed people also heal people. And that's really where I want to be. And really, if we are all working on healing ourselves, then we're going to just be a better world, right? Be better people for our families and for the young people that look up to us, but also just be a more healed place that is not coming from this place of anger and trauma and sadness. Like, we're truly joyful, and that's revolutionary. When people of color can be joyful, that's revolutionary.
I take it. Yeah. I had a question for you about Rosina, but it just seems right to ask you in this moment, what are you most grateful for?
Wow. What's coming to me is I'm most grateful for voice, right? For the opportunity to be here with you and share my voice and my story, for the way that my voice has been able to carry me over all of these years and help me to create a reality for myself that I did not think would ever be existent. And I'm grateful for voices of so many people, but especially of marginalized communities. I hear so many people say, I want to be a voice to the voiceless. They've had a voice for a very long time. You're just not listening, or you're not giving them the platform or uplifting those voices. So I'm grateful for mine and the privileges I've had to be able to share mine. And I really hope to create a platform for other people to share their voices, because when you are able to understand yourself and honor yourself and then share that narrative with other people, it starts to undo all of the stigmas that people have on either your gender or your race or your community and group of people. So I'm really grateful for my voice, for the perseverance to continue sharing my voice, and for the ability to hopefully at some point uplift other voices. I mean, I think I'm doing that now, but just on a larger scale.
Yeah. Thank you, Pinky. I don't know if Sterling or Clarabelle have any more questions for you right now before we move into my ripple moments, because Clarabelle is so in love with you and she has questions for you. So if you have another one, you can go before my ripple moment.
I mean, I think I just love I love what you stand for, and I love what you're doing, and your big giving heart. I love it. I do have a real quick question. Is COVID a man or a woman?
COVID is a dirty, dirty man. Dirty, ugly man. Stinky.
Thank you for naming it.
He's a cheater. He ain't got no money. Dirty, ugly. He's a misogynist. I'm just kidding. But I definitely He stands for the patriarchy. Oh, that man.
Confusing, like you never know where he's coming from. Is he
You know, the kids like to call them an F boy, and that's the one that comes and lies to you, and you know it's not real, and just constantly talking to all the other girls. That's what COVID is. He's
COVID's not the one you want to marry, right?
No. Oh no, we're not marrying COVID. We're not touching COVID with a 10-foot pole. We are not doing that.
I hear you.
All right. On a more serious note, and I love that question, by the way, Clarabelle. We're going to have to ask everyone else, of course.
It's such a good question, because I would love to hear what other people have to say about that. And sorry, Sterling, not all men, Sterling, not you.
Hey, you know, it's all
Not
good.
Definitely not all men. No, definitely not all men. Some great guys out here, but COVID's a bad one.
Yeah.
And this relationship has gone way too long. You guys.
And I'm done with it. I've been trying to leave you. You stick around. I've been trying to leave.
We're not going to invite COVID on for our dating show.
No, please don't. He's gonna be the first contestant. My name is COVID. I know. Go away.
That's who not to date.
No,
Right,
yeah.
right.
A shining example of who not to date.
Exactly. COVID. All right.
COVID. I like that.
Right.
No COVID here. All right. So my ripple moments are moments that we set aside in this show just to hear the voice of people in our community who can inspire us. Just a quiet moment to hear from you, Pinky. If you can just take just a couple minutes just to share. It could be 1 minute, it could be 30 seconds. It's what is authentic to you in this moment.
So going on this water theme, when I thought of like ripple moment, I immediately thought of the Bruce Lee quote, "Be like water making its way through the cracks. Be water, my friend." It just made me remember, I went to Puerto Rico during the pandemic to sort of be back on my island, to be close to the water. To me, that is so incredibly important. And funny enough, I get to Puerto Rico and it's raining. Every day it's raining. And I'm livid because I spent this money. I was supposed to write my album here. I was supposed to just sit by the water all day and just soak it in my and just get my love. And it didn't happen. And what it made me realize is that sometimes we have these like very wild expectations of ourselves, of others, of things that are completely out of control. And if I remember correctly, in Bruce Lee's quote, he says, not to be assertive, to adjust to the object, and you're going to find your way around or through it. So if you're not rigid, then outward things are going to move with you. And I remember at one point I did decide I'm going to go in the water, and I don't care if it's waves crashing and it's raining. I really don't care. And as I was in the water, I was fighting with the current because it was so hard. And when I decided to just stop and let myself go with it and let the water take me, it was almost like this beautiful journey that I was on. And I realized like that quote is so real, because if we just let go and try not to change things, change situations, change people, change weather even, then we really are able to connect with our own authentic selves and to truly let the answers come to us and allow ourselves to be more fluid in our lives and allow ourselves to allow life to happen with us and not to us. So there's this really awesome quote that I heard during COVID, which was, if you can't go outside, go inside, right? So go internally. Don't fight the current. Don't fight the waves. Don't fight all of these things that are sort of pushing you and pulling you. It's only going to make you more tired. It's only going to make you potentially drown. Just let it go. Be like water and allow yourself to let the world pull you and push you into your greatest self and into your most authentic self. And let go, let it go. Whatever it is that you're going through right now, whatever it is that you're feeling, let it go and be water, my friend. And shout out to Bruce Lee for that quote.
Shout out to Bruce Lee.
Shout out to Bruce Lee, definitely.
Yeah.
That's great. I like that a lot.
Thank you for sharing.
Being
Thank
in
you.
the moment, right? It's also
Mhm.
the moment. So that was beautiful. I was thinking about all of that, and I echoed that as I was thinking about myself during the pandemic as well. I mean, did you guys feel the same way, Muriel and Sterling? A lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
resonation, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Definitely.
definitely.
The pandemic essentially made all of us go inward, right? Because we couldn't really go outside. So you are inside, and then you're also inside of your head. That there's a lot of frustration, sadness, and other negative emotions that arise when you're in your head for so long. What gave you a sense of hope? At what point did you feel like, you know what? Here's my light. Besides, the moment in Puerto Rico, was there another moment like that? I feel like that moment in Puerto Rico was beautiful. And what you said about just the realization of just standing there and being. But was there another moment when you were at home, for example, here in Chicago? Was there another moment that you feel really, really inspired the hope that kept you going, kept you moving in a positive direction? Tell us.
I can think of like 20 moments because it literally was a constant battle between head and heart. I actually hired a life coach during that time. Shout out to Mara. I love you so much. Who personified these two characters that I was dealing with during COVID, which was hustle and flow, and has nothing to do with the movie. But like hustle was like, I got to keep grinding. I got to keep going. I got to keep working. I got to work all night and all day. I got to do syllabus plans, this, that, attendance, text students. And flow was like, we're in a pandemic. Just watch another show. Just relax. Everything's going to come. All the answers are going to come. Just relax. If you get quiet, you'll hear it. And so these two were constantly bickering with each other. And finally, when I sat with them both and I was like, listen, ladies, I need us to work harmoniously, because there are times where hustle is very important, but there are also times where flow, allowing that work that you did to manifest, right? We don't have to like kill ourselves working all the time. And so I remember on the inauguration day, I wrote a rap to Ice Cube's "Today Was a Good Day." And I was trying to post it. We talked earlier about like copyright issues and all of those lovely things that we have to deal with as artists.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to post it on my Instagram, and it has to be posted today. It's a rap about inauguration day. If it doesn't go up today, then it really doesn't make any sense to go up any other day. So I am fighting with Instagram, and it is not letting me post it. And I'm like, oh, I'm changing things. I'm like fixing things. I'm sending it again. And they're like, nope, 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 nope. We don't want to hear your revolutionary inauguration raps. Like, we're not about to, our algorithm is mad racist and we don't want that. And I'm like, algorithm, I'm not playing with you today. So I decided, I said, you know what? Again, be like water. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to put on some meditation music. I'm going to sit here. I texted my friends who are like spiritual workers, and I'm like, hey, this is what I'm going through. It's in your court. And thank Goddess for those friends that I have, because they do different kinds of work within the spiritual realm. But I'm like, burn a candle, do whatever you need to talk to your spirits, talk to somebody and tell them, help me, because this message has to come out. And I'm going to let go. I'm going to be like water. I'm going to allow myself to just, I'm not going to let myself drown today, because that defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I let it go. I sat, I listened to some meditation music. Then I get a message on my WhatsApp from my students. They made, and mind you, they had no idea what was going on with me. They made a compilation video that was like 7 minutes long of all of them talking about how much they appreciate me. Now I'm crying. Now my makeup is everywhere. I could not redo this video even if I wanted to, because my makeup is all gone. And I was just so overwhelmed. And I'm like, this is what matters. No matter if this posts or not, like, I'm making an impact no matter what. And the thought came to me, like, lower the music just a little bit. I don't know where that even came from, because I was Googling, like, what are things you can do? And they're like, none of it was helpful for me. So on the video, I just lowered the music just a little bit, the sample, the beat, the instrumental. Can you believe it posted right away? And I was like, see, it's that be like water. It's that just go with the flow. It's that don't fight against it. Let it take you, and you're going to get the answer. Just let it take you.
What a beautiful lesson. What a beautiful lesson. And, you know, Bruce Lee, thank you. Thank you for that knowledge that you're still imparting upon us, right?
Absolutely.
I have another question related to that. I love that lipstick song. It is hot. I want to ask you, speaking of hope, who are the ladies you feature throughout the video?
Oh, so that was, I love that you mentioned that because a lot of people don't ever talk about that. That's my community. One of the women, the older woman you see in there, she's a teacher that I used to teach with at Albizu Campos High School. A friend of mine and her daughter showed up. I had a gay young man show up. So they, if you all haven't seen that music video, everyone is wearing different shades of lipstick in the music video, and the song is called Lipstick. And I wanted to feature for that song, I wanted to feature like a gang of women, because when you see rappers in their videos, it's like all these dudes are yo, and COVID is in there too, for sure. COVID has a rap video, a rap video, and it's terrible rap. And so they're all in the camera, and I was like, I want to do that, but I want to do that with women. So it's like friends, community. My hype girl is the one you see the most. So usually in hip hop, it's usually you have a hype man is what they call it, but I have a hype girl. So when I have shows, she comes on and like helps me out with the words or, you know, with the energy of the crowd. Yeah, like diverse in ages, diverse in genders, like, and also shout out to MAC Lipstick. They donated all the lipsticks for that music video.
I saw that. No, it was a very engaging video, and I just kept on saying, "Who is this? Is this her tribe? Like, who are all of these?"
Gang, and again, you see, it's all kind of people, like older women, yeah, like kids. I love kids. I don't have any, like my friends' kids are my kids, so it's kids. It's, you know, bi people, it's gay people. It's just all kind of like women and female identifying folks that were in that video, and that was really important for me to display and to show.
Yeah, that's so now. That is now.
Pinky, it's been amazing to have your energy on this show. It just feels right. It feels good. It's inspiring. It's everything that we want Ripple Moments to be. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thanks for being our guest today. And, you know, Sterling's got a good question for you too, that everybody must answer on this show.
So yes, Pinky, you've been fantastic. Thank you for coming on. And you've been really inspiring, and I imagine you know some people who are also pretty inspiring. Would you like to nominate somebody for a future Ripple Moments interview?
Yes, I have like 20 people that I want to nominate. I'll give you one, but they're a rap duo. Their name is Mother Nature. They actually are two really amazing MCs that I met through the hip hop cultural diplomacy programming. So they're in a rap group and they were selected together, which has not happened before. And we met in Washington, D.C. when we were having our sort of orientation. And I was early. My Puerto Rican genes failed me that day because they allowed me to be early. And I was like, look, we're changing the world now. We got to be on time. Okay. And so I walked in and I saw them and I was like, you all look cool. And they're like, you look cool. And I was like, what do you do? And they're like, we rap. And I'm like, I rap too. Where are you from? Chicago. That was it. We became like peas in a pod. We actually decided we're going to have a rap group together called the Mangoes, because everywhere we go, your man goes. You like that? They are incredible, revolutionary, social justice driven MCs who talk about energy and vibration and ego and like all of these topics that are just not common for hip hop. So I would like to nominate Mother Nature because they are incredible, incredible, incredible.
All right. Well, we're going to have to get them on.
Yeah,
sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. So Pinky, one of the things that we also do on the show is that we make room to honor our artists. You're one. We're going to honor you today. And please tell us, what are we going to be hearing from you?
So, ladies and gentlemen, the song that I submitted for Ripple Moments is called Where Do We Go From Here? It's a song about violence in Chicago, and it doesn't aim to answer the question. It just aims to pose the question, where do we go from here? And at the time that I wrote this song, which was on my last album, Her Story, The Lost Chapters, I really wanted to uplift youth voices like we've been talking about in our conversation. And so I was working with After School Matters at the time, and I found this amazing choir called the HHW Youth Choir. As soon as I heard them, I said, they need to be a part of this. They're actually in the music video as well, and they recorded the chorus for Where Do We Go From Here? It's really just a way for us to start asking that question, including youth voices when we're asking that question, and to really figure out what's at the root cause of this problem, this other pandemic of violence in Chicago, and how do we stop breaking our own hearts with this violence? Truly, the question is, where do we go from here?
Let's take it away.
Listen.
Where do we go from here? We can't keep living in fear. Put down the guns, rise up as one, so we can dry our tears.
Chicago, Windy City, Chi-Town, they're all my home. Then I think, what a pity, Chirac is how you know. These streets are battlegrounds, marked for death, war zones, holiday massacres like in the days of Capone. Like Sticks and Stones, Game of Thrones. This isn't child's play, this isn't a TV show. This is real, shoot to kill with barrels made of chrome. Let cops get peeled from the steel to the dome. The young die restless, no chance of being grown. From the cradle to the grave, to their names on the stone. Lives cut short, many dreams never shown. Like birds without wings from a flock that's never flown. Some become numb, like a shot of methadone. Cause the pain isn't felt till it's dealt to their flesh and bone. Those left behind ask why we're broken homes. What do we do? Where do we go? Does anybody know?
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here?
We can't keep living in fear.
We can live in fear.
Put down the guns, rise up as one, so we can dry our tears.
City of broad shoulders is the story, but theme. Some of the tallest skyscrapers the world has ever seen. One of a kind skyline, topping tourist magazines. But like Biggie once said, things ain't always what they seem. Like scattered glass and shattered dreams. Hood parks after dark and playgrounds with empty swings. Sound of happy children is replaced with painful screams. Gunshots through busy blocks, just some other murdered teens. No shock at 10 o'clock, the local news live at the scene. Guns cocked, crooked cops, hands up, no one's free. Teardrops, flooding blocks, yellow tape stop the streets. White and blue, red stars, squad cars, CPD. Questions asked, no one sees, no one hears, no one speaks. Why can't we see a lot more of the best that we can be? Like Jackie Robinson, West, Little League team. What do we do? Where do we go? Can anybody see?
Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here?
We can't keep living in fear.
We can live in fear.
Put down the guns, rise up as one, so we can dry our tears.
In just 1 year, all around the world, guns killed 86 people in Denmark, 138 in Sweden, 146 in Great Britain, 157 in Israel, 188 in Australia, 216 in Austria. In just 1 year, in the city of Chicago, 435 lives were lost to gun violence. Where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here? We have the power to silence the violence. Got to say no, 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 no. Got to say no, no,
That's a question we all need to ask ourselves. Where do we go from here? Pinky, we thank you today for being our guest and for your candid responses and for your inspiration. It means so much. Pinky's amazing work can be found at pinkyring.com, at Instagram at pinky.ring, and on Facebook at facebook.com/pinkyring. Please support her work.
And please be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn using the handle @Utopia Connect, or simply go to ripplemoments.org. We also invite you to join us again when we host another Ripple Moment. Thank you, Pinky Ring. And thank you for all you're doing for Chicago and the world on our behalf. Thanks to all of our viewers for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.